So today we're going to be talking about the wobble that you might get when you pair the Canon EOS R5 or R6 with the RF 15 to 35 millimeter. So I needed to know one thing before I went into this video project, and that was, will I get the wobble effect if I use the 15 to 35 millimeter lens on a gimbal? Now I know that if I were trying to take handheld footage with the 15 to 35 RF lens paired with the Canon EOS R5, that I would have got that wobble effect. And it has something to do with the way that the in-body image stabilization on the R5 works in conjunction with the image stabilization in the RF lens. Now I know that some filmmakers actually go with the Canon 16 to 35 millimeter lens that is not stabilized, so that when they pair that lens with the R5, all that is working in terms of image stabilization is the in-body image stabilization. And with that, you actually won't get any of that wobbling effect. But if you do have the RF 15 to 35 and you need to take video footage at the wider end using that lens, it would be beneficial to know if there's a way to do that without getting the wobbling. So before we get into that, if you haven't seen the wobbling effect that I'm talking about, then I'll show you a short clip right here. Alright, so right now I'm shooting on the Canon EOS R5 with the RF 15 to 35 millimeter lens on there. So both of the image stabilization on the lens and the in-body image stabilization are turned on. So I am definitely expecting to see some of the wobbling. If not, that's great, but I really doubt that we're not going to see it. And like I said, this is usually when you're going to see it the most, is when you're at the focal length wider than 24 millimeters, I would say. So I know a lot of people are wondering, can you fix this in post with stabilizer like in Final Cut or Adobe? So what I'll do is I'll put this footage into the computer just to show you guys how it looks if you do add a stabilizer to try to fix the wobble effect. So right now I have the stabilizer on in post in Final Cut, and you can definitely tell there's some weird stuff going on around the edges of the frame, but overall I would say it's a little bit better than having that wobbling effect that we saw earlier. So it is important to note that if you're using the RF 15 to 35, if you do set it to a tighter focal length like 35 millimeters, you're less likely to get that wobbling. I would say anything wider than 24 millimeters becomes an issue. Now the good news is, if you're using a gimbal, you can actually avoid that effect and get really nice, clean, smooth footage, and you really don't have to worry about the wobbling at all. Here's a sample of footage that I took at the wider end using a gimbal. As you can see, you definitely don't have any of that crazy wobbling at the edges of the frame. Alright, so this was a short video, but I'm hoping it helped those of you who are wondering if you still got that effect on a gimbal. That's it for today. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. If not, I will talk to you guys in the next video.